Good day, everyone. I am Erazo Angeline May L. from MPA 1Y2-8, and I am here to continue the reporting about globalization and leadership challenges. For my topics covered, I will discuss about the last six subtopics of the cultural competence and leadership, transformational leadership, moral and ethical leadership, organizational culture and leadership, public goods and leadership, leadership training, partnership, collaboration, and leadership, and the last one is the crisis leadership. Now, let us continue with the cultural competence and leadership. So for the first one, we have the charismatic or the value-based leadership. It is the ability to inspire, to motivate, and to expect high performance outcomes from others on the basis of firmly held core beliefs. These leaders are visionary, inspirational, engage in self-sacrifice, demonstrate integrity and are decisive, and for the last one, they are performance-oriented. Charismatic or the value-based leadership measures how leaders use charisma and the personality to encourage improved performance from the subordinates. The leaders use the values and symbols to inspire higher performance. Our next subtopic is the team-oriented leadership. So it emphasizes effective team building and implementation of a common purpose or goal among team members. So the focus of this leadership style is therefore clearly on teams. So this type of leadership is collaborative, integrative, and inspiring to bring together teamwork. Next is the participative leadership. So it is a style of leadership in which all members of the organization work together to make decisions. So participative leadership emphasizes participation in the decision-making process. It values empowerment and involvement of others in key decision-making. For our next subtopic, we have the human-oriented leadership. So these are friendly and supportive and have empathy toward the subordinates. They display caring for the subordinates. Next one is we have the autonomous leadership. So this is the method of management that emphasizes independence, adaptability, and trust. This type of leadership values freedom and independence for the followers. For the last subtopic of the cultural competence and leadership, we have the self-protective leadership. So this focuses on ensuring the safety and security of the individual and group through status enhancement and pay saving. Self-protective leaders are self-centered, status-conscious, and conflict inducers who emphasize procedures and saving face. Self-protective leaders are more focused on their interest. Let us continue with the next topic, transformational leadership. So by Michigan State University, a transformational leader drives innovation and inspires new ways of thinking, harnessing a team's creativity to respond to change. Benny's 1984 mentioned these four major threats faced by the world today. Number one, we have a nuclear or biological catastrophe, whether deliberated or accidental. Number two is a worldwide epidemic. Three, tribalism and its cruel offspring, assimilation. All three of these are more likely than they were a decade ago. And finally, our last one, the leadership of our human institutions. So without exemplary leadership, it will be impossible to solve the first three problems. In a world dominated by complex problems, the type of leadership that is necessary is transformational leadership, which is responsible for bringing about societal changes. Moynihan and others, 2012, propose ways of overcoming many of the structural and environmental constraints of the public sector. They also advocated the adoption of transformational leadership in order to enhance performance. Now let us continue with the four components of transformational leadership. This is also known as the four I's of transformational leadership. For the first I, we have the individualized consideration. Transformational leaders listen to employees' concerns and needs so they can provide adequate support. They operate from the understanding that what motivates one person may not motivate someone else. As a result, they are able to adapt their management styles to accommodate various individuals on their team. For the second I, we have the inspirational motivation. Transformational leaders are able to articulate a unified vision that encourages team members to exceed expectations. They understand that the most motivated employees are the ones who are and who have this strong sense of purpose. These leaders are not afraid to challenge employees. They remain optimistic about future goals and are skilled at giving meaning to the task at hand. And for the third I, we have the idealized influence. Transformational leaders model ethical behavior. Their moral conduct earns a necessary level of respect and trust. This can help leaders steer decision making that works to improve the entire organization. And for the last I, we have the intellectual stimulation. Transformational leaders regularly challenge assumption, take risks, and solicit team members' inputs and ideas. They don't fear failure and instead foster an environment where it is safe to have a conversation. Be creative and voice diverse perspective. This empowers employee to ask questions, practice a greater level of autonomy, and ultimately determine more effective ways to execute their task. Contributor Blake Morgan outlines a number of habits common to effective transformational leaders. Here are the five of the most essential traits. 1. We have good transformational leaders practice self awareness. They thrive on personal growth and know their strengths and weaknesses. They often take time to reflect and set daily or weekly goals. These leaders believe everyone, including themselves, should be continually learning and improving. Number two, they remain open minded. Remaining open to new ideas and fresh perspective is an important aspect of transformational leadership. Rather than jumping to conclusions, these leaders regularly gather feedback and idea from range of sources before making strategic decisions. Number three, the best transformational leaders are adaptable and innovative. Good transformational leaders understand changing their business dynamics. They always find innovative ways to stay ahead of the curve. They are not afraid to alter traditional approaches that have worked in the past as they look toward the future. And for the fourth one, good transformational leaders are proactive. Leaders cannot simply sit around and wait for change to happen. Rather than they make bold decisions or proactive decisions so they can set tone for others to follow. And for the last one, they lead with humility. Transformational leaders take little issues with admitting that they don't have all the answers. While they can remain confident in their goals and abilities, they also able to keep their egos in check and do what's right for their team or their organization. For my next topic, we have the moral and ethical leadership. Ethical leadership is defined as demonstrating appropriate and thoughtful conduct inside and outside the office, respecting ethical beliefs and values, and being motivated by the dignity and rights of others. To be an ethical leader, you need to ensure ethical values are aligned across the organization. Promote open communication, avoid bias, lead by example, be willing to accept responsibility, and admit mistakes. Ethical leadership in your company helps create a positive work culture, improve brand image and reputation, foster employee and customers' loyalty, and increase productivity. Leaders are considered to be the symbols of moral leadership, which emphasizes ethics and values. People do hold different values because of the society to which they are exposed, but leadership can influence the individuals toward a common summum bonum. So, summum bonum means the highest good, especially as the ultimate goal according to which values and priorities are established in an ethical system. Moral leadership focuses on the society's deep-held values to mobilize people in pursuit of important goals. For example, Gandhi led the independence movement of India based on satyagraha, or the moral force. This inspired the non-violence, non-cooperation movement that brought an end to British rule in India. Gandhi leadership inspired the other moral leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King and Nelson Mandela. These three leaders fought for the injustice and suppression with high moral values. Trust in senior management is crucial to secure the smooth operation of the organization. The lack of trust has important implications for managing the workforce and influencing employees' attitudes and behavior. Clark and Payne, 1997, research outlines five dimensions of a trustworthy managerial behavior, and these are the following. The first one is the integrity, or the sincerity, honesty, and truthfulness. Next one is the competence, the technical ability, their knowledge, and the skill to successfully perform a job. Consistent behavior. The actions are consistent, fair, and predictable. Loyalty, intention and motivates to protect a person. And the last one is the openness, or the willingness to share ideas and information freely and accurately. A moral leader must reflect these values to build the trust of the people. The leaders bear a responsibility to create an organization culture promoting trust among people. My next topic is the organizational culture and leadership. Is a set of values that defines a company and how the company's leadership exemplifies and reinforces those values. It defines the behavior and actions the company expects employee to take to create a positive environment while helping the business succeed. Let us quote that leadership can create a culture of fairness, equality, tolerance of opposition, and impartiality. Leadership can create a climate of cooperation, friendliness, and reward performance. Rewards based on fairness and performance can enhance the morale and productivity in the organization. Public goods and leadership. So, one great example for public goods and leadership are the politicians. A public good is one in which the consumption of it by an individual or an entity is not subtracted from the consumption of others. The interdependence and integration of the world economy accentuate the fact that providing and maintaining global public goods are important foundation for a responsible global leadership. That is by Ali 2006. Let us proceed with the next topic, the leadership training. Good leaders are born, not made. So this is a very catchy statement, but this statement is simply not accurate. Leadership is not a hair color that one is born with. It is a skill, like any other skill, it can be taught and honed. Through leadership training, all employees can learn the skills they need to become Great Leaders by Christina Pablo. So leadership training can make them aware of the current technology and global situation. Moreover, classroom training may be inadequate to deal with the practical world. Ross, 1990, questioned the efficacy of the present leadership training because people cannot assimilate the leadership although they can identify the abilities and characteristics of a successful leadership. What kind of training the modern public leaders need, and modern public leaders must be capable of dealing with people from the diverse world. Partnership, collaboration, and leadership. In an interdependent world, it is crucial for the leadership to partner and collaborate with public and private actors, both nationally and internationally. Archer and Cameron, 2013, note that we are now living in an interconnected world, and they argue that the success of the organization lies in their ability to work together with organizations from different backgrounds and culture. For my last topic, this is the crisis leadership. So the global leadership must be prepared to deal with the crisis considering the increased threats Today, from natural disaster and terrorism, the crisis management, prevention, and responses pose serious challenges to leadership. By Indeed editorial team, crisis leadership is the process of responding to an organization's challenges and preventing them from occurring in the future. Most crisis leaders emphasize the needs of their employees and customers by providing emotional support. There are four important stages in crisis management. The first one is the prevention and mitigation. Next is the preparation and planning. Third one is the response and decision making. And for the last important stage, it is the recovery, consolidation, and change. This is by Comport 1988. There are high degrees of ambiguity and uncertainty and risk involved in crisis. In words of Korak, Kakabadse, and others 2002, crisis events occur whenever there is a seizure of existing mechanism of functionality, a need for a major resources, distribution, and consistency, recognition of one or both of those events. There are human-made and natural disasters and crisis events from the human error lens and policy implication. That is by Rosenthal and others 1989. So let us sub-discuss the type of disasters and crisis events that we are experiencing right now. The first one is the technological disaster. A technological disaster is an event caused by a malfunction of a technological structure and or some human error in controlling or handling the technology. The world is dependent on technology, meaning that any failure can cripple the way of life. A simple power outage can make us helpless. Cyber terrorism can cause havoc for the lives and functioning of the government. The danger of technological disaster can create a doomsday situation. How to prevent technological disaster is a major challenge faced by the leadership of the developed world. The next one is the terrorist attack. A major crisis can also take place as a result of terrorist attack. There is a constant threat of terrorism which poses a serious challenge to global leadership. Since any country can be subjected to terrorism, all leaders must be prepared to take every necessary measure to prevent terrorism. Natural disasters or the sudden event caused by environmental factors such as storms, floods, droughts, fires, and heat waves. Although leaders cannot prevent natural disasters, their important task is to take all the necessary measures to deal with the natural disasters, making sure that the victims are properly cared for. The important issue is to provide the victims with the basic necessities of life, like shelter, food, water, etc. Next is the groupthink, a phenomenon in which a group of individuals come to a consensus without critical reasoning or considering the consequences of the alternatives. Groupthink prevails in crisis response. So it can limit the rational calculation of the choices. Groupthink can occur for a number of reasons. Number one, because of the pressure arising from the crisis. Second one is the intergroup conflict. Number three is the structural problems. Four, monopolize on decision making. And the last one is the nature of leadership. The symptoms of groupthink includes illusions and invulnerability, rationalizations, stereotyping of outgroups, and the illusions of unity. Next is the bureaucratic politics. These are theories or explanations of why particular public policy decisions got made the way they did, stress the motivation by the relevant officials in the government bureaucracy to protect or promote their own agency's special interests. In competition with other agencies, or as a major motivating factor in shaping the timing and the content of government decisions. To understand the goals of the international actors is very complicated because they are intertwined with the socio-political and economic context. The bureaucracy is different in every country. It makes the task of coordination extremely difficult when the administrators have to deal with different bureaucracies of the world. Our second to the last is the garbage canners. So this theory assumes that an organization is a collection of choices, striving to find solutions to the complex problems. The theoretical breakthrough of the garbage can model is that it disconnects problem, solution, and decision makers from each other, unlike traditional decision theory. For the last one is we have the contracting out. One of the major challenges of public leaders under the globalization is contract management. The public leaders are under increased pressure to save costs, even if it involves the so-called contracting out or outsourcing. So one of the challenges involving the deregulation era concerns the prospect of decreased safety and increased vulnerability as rent-seeking private firms contract the planning and management for former public goods and even core functions of the sovereignty. And that ends my report. Thank you for watching.